Imagine, just for a second, playing a video game or maybe even moving a wheelchair, not, with your hands, not with controllers or anything, but just by thinking about it. Sounds like something straight out of science fiction, doesn't it? Well, today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs for short. This deep dive, it's really all about understanding how our own brain activity, our thoughts, can actually be translated into commands for devices outside our bodies. Truly mind over matter.
Yeah, it really is. And what's so compelling, I think, is where this all started. The foundational purpose at its core is incredibly profound, deeply human, really. BCIs were first conceived basically to give back basic communication to people with really devastating conditions. Think about locked-in syndrome. This can happen from things like ALS, severe cerebral palsy, maybe a brainstem stroke, MS, or spinal cord injuries. We're talking about individuals who are completely aware, fully cognizant, they understand everything, but they just cannot physically interact. They can't speak, can't move effectively. So BCIs offered this vital pathway to reconnect them, giving them a voice again.
That initial focus, the medical side, it's just undeniably transformative, a lifeline, like you said. But it seems like the technology, the scope of it has really grown beyond that initial purpose, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
We're seeing it pop up in things like virtual reality, gaming. I even heard about a game, Awakening, where you use your mind to interact with virtual objects.
That's right.
And then there's emotion recognition, biometrics. Does that kind of expansion, does it change things? Does it maybe introduce new considerations or, I don't know, redefine what a BCI even is?
It definitely broadens the definition, yes. And what's interesting is how it's becoming possible. The main driver for a lot of this research, the most popular tool you could say, is electroencephalogram, EEG.
EEG, right.
And that's largely because, it's non-invasive. You don't need surgery. And it's relatively inexpensive compared to other brain imaging techniques.
So how does that work exactly, the EEG?
Basically, you have these small electrodes that are just attached to the scalp, and they pick up these incredibly tiny electrical signals, voltage fluctuations. We're talking microvolts here, maybe make it 100 to plus 100 microvolts, super small. And these signals, they're generated by the ionic currents that flow when your brain cells, your neurons, communicate at the synapses. It's essentially eavesdropping on the electrical chatter of your brain.
Wow. That is genuinely mind-blowing. Okay, so given all that, what's our plan for this deep dive? What are we aiming to sort of get our heads around today?
Well, our mission really is to explore where things stand right now with EE-based BCIs, look at some of those surprising applications you mentioned, but also, crucially, talk about the very real challenges that scientists are still, grappling with, and then hopefully touch on what exciting possibilities might be just around the corner.
Fantastic. Okay, so just to recap the main idea then, EEG-based BCIs offer this incredible pathway, this direct link between brain and device. They're already transforming lives for people who are locked in, but also opening up new forms of entertainment. Sounds incredibly promising, almost utopian in a way. But let's be real, big breakthroughs always come with big hurdles, don't they?
They certainly do.
What are some of the really critical challenges that researchers face, especially with the EEG signals themselves?
That's a really key question. A major challenge, and our sources really emphasize this, is just how complex these EEG signals are intrinsically. They're described as, and this is a direct quote, extremely nonlinear, non-stationary, and artifact-prone.
Okay, what does that mean in simple terms? Nonlinear, non-stationary.
Right, so nonlinear means the relationships aren't simple cause and effect. Small changes can have big, unpredictable effects. Non-stationary means the signal properties change over time. What you measure now might be different 5 minutes from now, even if the person thinks they're doing the same thing. And artifact-prone, that's a big one. Think about it, even just getting a little drowsy. That natural state can create signals that mess up the BCI's interpretation.
Just feeling sleepy can throw it off.
Yeah, or blinking your eyes, clenching your jaw, even your heartbeat can create electrical noise that swamps the tiny brain signals we're trying to read. This really highlights why cleaning the signal, filtering out all that noise, the eye blinks, the muscle activity, the electrical interference from lights, everything is so crucial. It's not just a minor technical step. It's arguably the biggest bottleneck stopping BCIs from becoming, everyday tools.
Wow, okay. The level of detail you need just to get a usable signal sounds immense. So keeping those complexities in mind, what does that mean for the different ways we try to use these EEG signals? Because the research mentions different types, right? Different modalities. like motor imagery, P300, SSVEP.
Exactly. And these challenges play out differently depending on the approach. Let's take motor imagery, or MI. That's where you imagine moving, say, your left hand to your right foot. The BCI tries to detect the pattern associated with that specific imagined movement. But the big challenge here, it requires plenty of training trials, lots and lots of practice for the user and the system. This often leads to what the researchers call unacceptably long calibration periods.
So it takes ages to set up each time or for each new user.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Imagine the time and mental effort needed just to get the system working reasonably well before you can even start using it properly. It's a barrier.
Okay, what about the others? P300.
Right. P300 systems are different. They look for a specific brain response, a positive voltage spike around 300 milliseconds after you see something you were looking for. Like imagine letters flashing quickly on a screen and you focus on the one you want to type. Your brain goes, aha, when that letter appears.
Oh, I see.
The potential upside is they might not need as much explicit training as MI, but performance can be affected by how severe a patient's condition is. And sometimes the way the stimuli are presented, the flashing or whatever, is described as so difficult that the experimental process could not be carried out by the patients on their own. They need assistance.
Okay. And the last one mentioned was SSVEP.
Yes, steady state visual evoked potentials, SSVEP. This involves looking at lights flickering at different specific frequencies. Your brain tends to synchronize its activity to the frequency you're focusing on, and the BCI detects that.
So like focusing on a fast flashing light versus a slower one?
Exactly. And the big plus here is it can often work with little to no training. The downside, some people just don't generate strong SSEEP responses. For a certain portion of individuals, their brains just don't react strongly enough, so it's extremely poor for them. It doesn't work well.
So no single method is perfect for everyone.
Not at all. Which is why there's a lot of interest now in hybrid approaches. Combining different methods, maybe MI and SSEEP or P300 and MI, to try and leverage the strengths of each and overcome the weaknesses. Maybe make it more robust across different people and situations.
That makes sense. Combining forces. But these technical hurdles for each specific method, they sound really significant. It seems like the challenges don't actually stop there, though. Our research also pointed toward bigger picture problems, right? More systemic issues that affect the whole field.
That's right, yeah. Beyond just getting a clean signal or making one modality work reliably, there are these broader issues holding back BCI development and adoption. One major point is the current lack of a general BCI standard.
Meaning everyone's doing things slightly differently.
Exactly. Different labs, different companies, they use different hardware setups, different software, different ways of processing the signals. And crucially, they use varied evaluation metrics, different ways of measuring success.
Which must make it really hard to compare results, right? How do you know if one approach is truly better than another if they're not measured the same way?
Precisely. It makes comparing research findings effectively incredibly difficult. How do you build on previous work if you can't be sure how it truly performed relative to yours? And tied into that is a key metric called the information transfer rate, or ITR.
ITR, what's that?
It's basically a measure of how much information the BCI system can convey per minute or per second. Think of it like typing speed, but for brain control.
Okay.
And the reality is, for most current BCIs, the ITR is still somewhat poor.
Meaning it's slow.
It can be quite slow, yes. Often much slower than traditional input methods for those who can use them. This isn't just a minor inconvenience. It's a fundamental limitation that stops BCIs from being practical for many everyday tasks. And this need for better performance, higher ITR, is a major reason why researchers are increasingly turning to more advanced techniques like deep learning and AI to try and decode those complex brain signals more effectively.
So lots of amazing ideas, lots of potential, but it sounds like we're still quite a ways off from seeing BCIs become commonplace, like smartphones or laptops.
I think that's a fair assessment, yes. It's clear that there have been many outstanding breakthroughs, truly remarkable achievements in labs around the world, but the sources are quite clear that the majority of BCI applications are still firmly at the investigative phase.
Still in the lab, basically.
Mostly, yes. They're generally not readily available for the activities of daily living, or ADL, of the general public. And another factor mentioned is the simple lack of commercialization, getting these complex systems out of the lab, making them user-friendly, reliable, affordable. That's a huge step. And without that commercial push, it's hard for the technology to gain widespread popularity and use.
Okay, there's a human in the loop. If you have any questions, go for it. You need a robot telling you that. We can arrange that as well, even with video. How good is that? And this one has bad sound, but it's better than I can do.
Everything we do is available freely on BioniChaos.com. Please consider supporting me on Patreon, and don't forget to click like, subscribe, and comment.
I like how at the end he was about to say something else, but didn't. Change of mind.
Everything we do is available freely on BioniChaos.com. Please consider supporting me on Patreon, and don't forget to click like, subscribe, and comment. Everything we do is available freely on BioniChaos.com. Please consider supporting me on Patreon, and don't forget to gently click like, subscribe, and comment.
So if you like supporting robots, do you like supporting robots? Not sure. See if there's any questions. No questions. Do we post it in the chat? Yes. Let's move on then.